Hi, I'm Seraphlor, and welcome to yet another video. I've been thinking a lot about the plethora of characters we met in Rinascita, more specifically our 5-star cast. They're really awesome characters with colorful backgrounds and relevance to the plot. Even if they weren't always the focus, you know they were working in the background for something important, like how the Montelles and the Thessalias were made aware of the Journeying Paradise in 2.5 and began preparing for it, how Zani always seemed to be around in the earlier patches, and showing up in side quests and even a daily lotto event. Or how Lupa, well, it was good to see her again in 2.7. Okay, while not every character had something to do or going on in the background, or at least something that you were aware of, most of them were doing something important, and with that, it gave off the feel that these characters were worth their rarities. To me, 5 stars or SSR characters in gacha games have always been reserved for the most important characters in the art, for story-driven games, or the SSRs served as a full circle moment, a completion of a character's journey. Grand Blue Fantasy, one of the most popular gacha games back in the day, did this in spades. For example, there's characters like Haria, Tanya, and Rosamia to name a few, not even counting the main cast. Even to this day, they're still releasing SSR versions of characters that have been around since at or around launch. It's pretty impressive. But with Wuthering Waves, it feels like certain characters got the 5-star treatment too soon. If WuWa does decide to make higher rarity versions or alternate 5-star versions of characters someday, then they've already shot themselves in the foot with these 3. More like 2, but we'll talk about it later. I am of course referring to the Fool's Troop member Rosia, the Acolyte Phoebe, and the Wandering Bard Chakona. These 3 characters are the most inconsequential to our Rinascita journey, and to me, they shouldn't have been 5 stars. Let me explain. Once again, I'll explain what makes a 5-star character to me. Your own criteria may be different, but for me, a 5-star should be characters that have lore and story importance, hold an important position in their respective societies from security to criminal, leaders, be powerful in universe, and characters who have completed or made an important step in their character journeys. This is precisely why Brant and Lupa are excluded from this, as both characters fit into my criteria for a 5-star character. However, I can definitely see and understand why others would say they should be 4 stars. Anyway, let's start with the character who is least deserving of the 5-star pedigree, Rosia. Rosia is part of the Fool's Troop with Brant as their captain. The game tries to tell you and shows that she's more capable than Brant in certain situations, such as finding people who have been exiled by the Order of the Deep, and making strategies and plans in the heat of battle, such as against the Dragon of Dirge during 2.0. She participates in the final battle against Frolova in 2.0, and that's about it. She shows up briefly in 2.1 in Brant's companion quest, and with the rest of the cast in 2.3's anniversary. Naturally, she is in 2.7, but she doesn't do anything significant or important in 2.7, I have to admit. I'm struggling to remember something she did on her own without following what everyone else was doing. From helping Rover wake up, to joining the fight in Septimont, even to jumping Scar. She never took initiative on her own. She was mostly in the background. Now, you could say that her role was mainly in 2.0, and her actions in that patch are what makes her a 5-star. However, I disagree. I think her actions in 2.0 weren't enough to warrant her rarity, as she plays a supporting role for most of it. The amount that would make sense for a 4-star, and what do you know? We have had 4 stars in Wuthering Waves have roles similar to the role Rosia played in 2.0. Those being Yang Yang in 1.0 and Bu Ling in 2.4 to 2.6. Both of these characters play second fiddle to the main 5-star limited resonator, and help the rover in different ways. This is exactly the role Rosia played in 2.0. And to that, I say she should have been a 4-star. She played second fiddle to Carlotta, as she had way more focus put on her than on Rosia, and we didn't spend a lot of time with her either. We had a companion quest with Rosia short, but like I said already, by the time the next version came along, her involvement in the story dropped off a cliff until 2.7. Rosia fits the mold for a 4-star, and by my own metrics, she should have been one. The Order and its acolytes have a habit of living in a bubble. A bad habit, even. Remember Lenore's quest, where she refused to believe the settlers of Rinascita didn't praise the Sentinel in song? Let's not forget the creepy shit going on in 2.5 involving the Order and how the acolytes and the citizenry were corrupted by the Dark Tide and could not live normal lives anymore at the Fabricatorium. No one seemingly knew of their existence or what happened to them until Rover arrived. Many people, including myself, were wondering something, especially in 2.5. Where was Phoebe? It feels like Phoebe was missing an entire character arc. A character arc that would have seen results in 2.7. Like with the moment where she's seemingly leading the other acolytes in the Fasalio Fells. That part was cool, but it does ring a bit hollow. Phoebe is supposed to represent the innocence of the Order, the light that the Order wants to represent to the Ragunesi. Though it feels like the writers either changed her character in development, or tried their best to keep her out of the Order's shady dealings. The bomb she was carrying into Arverado Vault in 2.1? Phoebe isn't even made aware of it. Zani is the one who tells you that Phoebe unwillingly carried it. Back to 2.1, she does have a big role, yes, with the fishing minigame and story involving Cetus the Tiebreaker, but outside of that, she's absent until 2.7, barring the anniversary, of course. Phoebe is next on the list because she's a character of missed opportunity. We should have seen her question the Order of the Deep. We should have seen her in 2.5. Either in the story or in the aftermath, doing what she can to help the people stuck down there. And then it would make her leadership capabilities in 2.7 feel earned. And not only that, the scene at the end when Rover gives her Imperator's Compass can give the player a stronger feeling that Phoebe's character journey isn't over yet. If Phoebe were a 4-star, that scene in 2.7 would be the moment where we'd all think, the next time we see her, she's going to be a 5-star. But we don't get that satisfaction. Sure, it may imply that Phoebe's character journey has just begun, or it isn't over yet. But it would be more explicit if she were a 4-star from the beginning. Especially, once again, going by my own metrics. We've been told time and again that Phoebe is just an acolyte. And that the only thing special about her is her devotion and resonance abilities. And I think her rarity should have reflected that better, so that when 2.7 happens, the player base is all the more surprised to see her take up this leadership role of mobilizing the other acolytes to Fasalio Fells and Deceptimont, to see Rover entrust a capsule to her at the end of the story. Phoebe was missing a character arc, and in my opinion, she's the most wasted character in Rinascita as a result. Chakona is an interesting case. While she has a small role in patch 2.2, the meat of her story is in an event that you don't have to do at all to progress the story or to unlock features. Her event should have been the main story of patch 2.3, but unfortunately it wasn't. So we have a character who, to the player who skips events or is a latecomer catching up, appears once in a story and disappears until 2.7. She appears in the card game event, true, but like I said, a latecomer or event skipper isn't going to go through with that content. Chakona is the biggest example of wasted potential. Forget Phoebe, Chakona takes the cake here. Why exactly is she a 5-star in the first place? She could have been perfectly servable as a 4-star. Her minimalist screen time and overall narrative fits the mold for such a character. And for a patch series severely lacking in 4 stars, she would have been a welcome addition. Out of the 3 characters I discussed, Chakota frustrates me the most because her event quest is really good. It does a lot to characterize her family's sordid history with the Order, and creates a little rivalry between her and Cristoforo. If that was main quest, you can make a strong argument for her being a 5-star character. She checks a lot of the boxes in my own requirements. She's a disgraced noble whose family assisted the poets of the Golden Anthem by preserving their legacy, an act that got them banished. The Golden Anthem revealed the truth of the Sentinel being a steed and not a half-fish, half-horse creature it's known widely as. She made an important step in her character journey by becoming a wanted criminal and spreading the truth far and wide. Unfortunately, because this is quite self-contained and it's an event as well, Chakota feels inconsequential to the grand overarching plot of the narrative. I want you all to ask yourselves, if Chakota was removed from the game and her story cameo in 2.2 instead was replaced with an NPC, would we have lost or gained anything narrative-wise? Would people be clamoring for her to be playable? I struggled to come up with an answer. An honorable mention for this would be Zani. However, Zani appears frequently enough, is important to the Montelli family, and is also a powerful resonator in the universe. Even after her companion story, she still appears in side quests that have ties to the main plot. Look no further than patch 2.5. Even if she plays a more supportive role in 2.7, she's still a recurring character throughout our Rinascita journey. Anyway, I think I pretty much covered what I wanted to say regarding these three. They were failed by the writing by giving them a pedigree they shouldn't have had. Rosia is absent outside of 2.0. Phoebe feels like she had a whole arc cut from the final product, and Chakota's journey is behind optional content. If they were 4 stars, I wouldn't feel the way I do about them, which is a shame because the game has been lacking 4 stars for quite a while, and these 3 would have fit the mold perfectly. But that's my opinion, based off of my own metrics for what quantifies a 5 or 4 star. Your own rubric and criteria may be vastly different from mine. So if you have your own criteria, or you think other characters should have been 4 stars, let me know in the comments. Also, if I'm missing any story or lore beats that you feel like I should have mentioned or got wrong, please let me know as well. I'm not the type of guy who's so egotistical that I would call any commenters frauds or hurl insults, and brag about my family or that I went to Kuro Fest before complaining to my rich roommate that you all were being mean to me. I would never do that. I'm a sincere fellow. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for watching and making it this far, and I'll see you all next time. Later.